to conduct this webinar. So I warmly welcome everyone who joined this webinar today, and we can start now. Also, before we start, a few housekeeping rules. Please keep your mics muted. If you have a question to ask, you can unmute your mic and ask the question, or use the chat box to post any questions that you have. Right? Okay, we can start. Over to you, Rangika.
Okay, thank you, Didula. So I hope everyone can hear me well, see me, and see my screen as well.
Yes, all good.
Okay. Okay, so as Didula mentioned, this session is a continuation from my previous session, which is about journey into UX, and today it is all about uncovering users' mental model. So, hand sanitizing. This is something that has become mandatory in past few months due to this pandemic situation. Few years back, I managed to watch an interesting video which is related to a hand sanitizing dispenser which was placed in Apache Mall, US. So by looking at this product, we get the impression that we need to place hand in here to get sanitizer dispense. But what actually happened is this is getting dispensed from another location. So when this happens, we get confused and unhappy. Why? Because this product do not behave the way that we expect it to be behaved. So that's what we are going to discuss today. That is how users expect a product, system, or service to behave, or in other words, users' mental model. So before we continue with our session for today, I will provide a small introduction to myself. So I'm Rangika Ekanayake, and I act as Senior Manager Software Engineering at IFS. I started my career as a software engineer at IFS, but during my career life, I managed to perform different roles such as software designer, UX coach, likewise. And when it's come to UX, my passion for UX has started with a user research, which I performed with related to a development. And it triggered my interest for the user experience and the concepts around it. So from that moment till today, I keep on learning about user experience and the methods around it. And I'm trying to apply them in our day-to-day processes. So that's about me, and enough about me. So let's continue with today's topic. But before we continue, I will turn off my video now as you have saw me. So because otherwise it can cause some network disturbances. Okay, so what is user's mental model? An American researcher, professor, and author, Don Norman. And he is the person who has brought this concept of user experience into the center stage. So Don Norman says, a mental model is what the user believes about the system at hand. But let me elaborate it a bit more. Let's say there is this young girl who has found some interesting information while she reading a book, and she wants to share this information with her friends. So as the medium to achieve her purpose, she decided to use LinkedIn. But even before she starts to write this post, she has a certain expectation about how the product should behave when she achieves this purpose. So she expects that she would be able to write all her thoughts in this post. So this expectation or belief about the system, about product, system or service that users have beforehand, we call it user's mental model. So with this mental model, this girl starts to write this post, and in the middle of her task, she is getting a message specifying that you have exceeded the maximum character limit. So now, even though she previously expected to share all her thoughts in this post, she didn't manage to achieve it. So this product experience do not tally with user's mental model. And this cause, as a result, this user to be unhappy. And when it's come to user experience, this user has low user experience with related to this product. And also there is a tendency that she would move for another product to achieve this purpose as she expected to achieve it. So now you could see that when product experience do not tally with user's mental model, it generates low user experience, and there is a tendency that this product is going to be fail as well. But in other way, if the product experience tally more with user's mental model, it generate more user experience and it has a higher chance of making the product successful as well. So when it comes to user mental model, this is something that is combined with every product, system or service that people use in day-to-day life. From simple spoon to sophisticated car, everything is combined with a user mental model, even a simple jam bottle. So let's say that we are going into a shop to buy a jam bottle, and even before we purchase it, we have a certain expectation how the taste should be. So after we purchase it, after we taste it, we find out that it does not match with what we expected. So there is a high chance that we would discontinue buying it and go for another product which matches with our expected taste. So like this, every product, system or service that we are able to design is subjected to user mental model. So why we need to analyze user mental model? What is the benefit that we can gain by analyzing user mental model as designers? It is not to develop products like this which are less usable. So this is a wheelchair lift which developed for the purpose of wheelchair user. So even though these wheelchair users might have a disability, they also would like to act as independent people. We should allow it. But this product restricts that capability from this user. Why? Whenever they want to get into this lift, they have to seek help from someone else. So you could see that when it's come to this product, this user has less user experience, and due to this, there is a chance that this product is going to be fail, and the cost and money that we put together for this product is going to be wasted as well. Not only this, sometimes not understanding users' mental model can cause quite serious consequences as well. In 1992, Air Interflight 148 crashed simply because the pilot has confused with a certain parameter in the control panel. When pilot controls the flight, he uses two parameters called vertical speed and the flight path angle. Normally, they expect these two parameters to display separately in the control panel for the easy identification. But in this control panel, These two parameters were displayed in the same location, which caused that this pilot to confuse vertical speed with flight path angle, causing this flight to crash and kill 87 out of 96. So you could see, as the designers, understanding user mental model before we design product, system or service is critical factor to generate high user experience and also for this product to be success as well. So then how we can understand users mental model? This is not something that we can do directly. We can't simply open up the brain and scan for it. But there are ways that we can achieve this purpose. So let's say that we were asked to redesign this wheelchair lift. So we thought that before we move into redesign this, we would try to understand this user's mental model. So how we can achieve it if we don't have a way? But there are certain set of attributes combined with this user mental model which we can analyze. Those are this user's goals, needs, behaviors, motivations, and pain points. If we analyze these attributes for this wheelchair user, we might be able to find out that they do not like the existing design because every time they need to seek help when get into it. And also they want to act as independent normal people. Now we can come into an idea about this wheelchair user's user mental model. That is, this wheelchair user expect to operate independently. By having the understanding about this user mental model, now we can design a product which aligns more with this user mental model. So when it's come to this design, this wheelchair user can easily get into this wheelchair lift and he can operate independently as well. And when it's come to user experience, it is quite high, and also there is a high chance of this product being successful. So now we know that by analyzing goals, needs, behaviors, motivations, and pain points, we can get an understanding about user mental model. So how we can analyze these attributes? For that purpose, to analyze these attributes with the intention of understanding mental model, we can use user research. So how we can perform an effective user research to understand users' mental model? Let's take up an example scenario. Let's say that during these past months, we were really used to online purchasing. And there is this supermarket chain company, and they have quite old e-commerce website. So they thought that this is a good time to redesign this e-commerce website they have. Then they could increase their online selling as well. So they have handed over that project to our software company, and our design team thought that before we directly go into designing this, we would perform a user research prior. So how we can perform an effective user research for this situation? If we search the word user research process, we would be able to find out different formats with related to user research process developed based on different contexts. But in each of these processes, there are 4 phases that is common. That is, identify research purpose, select research method and participants, conduct research, and analyze for research output. Let's see how we can perform an effective user research for this situation by using these 4 phases. But before that, we need to get an understanding about who are our users. So when it comes to our users in this situation, we can think of 3 users. That is, online buyer, order processor, and delivery person. When it's come to their needs, when it's come to these people's needs, it is also different from one another. So when it's come to online buyer, their need would be to place order easily and get the products delivered. When it's come to delivery person, his need would be to identify the route for the delivery location easily and get the products, deliver the products. So like that, the user need also different from one user to another. But apart from user need, there are two such needs that we have to consider when we design a product. That is customer need and the business need. When it's come to customer need, our customer in this situation is the supermarket chain company who has passed over the project to us. And when it's come to this customer's need, he might be having the need to standardize this design with existing competitors' designs. And when it's come to business need, it would provide from our software company. It is, when it's come to business need, it is our software firm's need that we're talking about. So it would be provided by the software company stakeholder. So in this situation, the business need would be something like that. They would think that this is a good opportunity for them. They could come up with it would be better to come up with a generic design which they can use in future as well. So as designers, what we design need to align with these three different needs: user need, customer need, and business need. Whenever if we able to achieve all these three needs from our design, that is how our product is going to be successful. That is how our product design is going to be successful. So why we need to consider customer need and the business need before we start in the user research? That is because by having the understanding about the customer need and the business need, we get a we have the better chance of deciding better research scope for our user research. Okay, so with this information in hand, having this information in mind, let's proceed with our user research. So the first thing that we need to do when we performing a user research is to identify the research purpose. So we start this by clarifying the background. So when it's come to clarifying background, we use kickoff meeting for this purpose. And when it's come to kickoff meeting, it is said that if we have a smaller team, like 5 to 6 members, we could include all the members. It is better to include all the members into this kickoff meeting. But let's say that we have a bigger team, like 10 to 15 members. Then in that case, at least one member from each role required to participate in this meeting. And it is said that stakeholder representation is also quite mandatory in this kickoff meeting. So stakeholder representation, in the sense, it could be like a project manager from our company would participate into the kickoff meeting. So before I proceed, can you let me know whether you can hear me clearly and see my screen as well? Do you hear any background noises that is disturbing?
No, ma'am, all clear.
Okay, right. Okay, thank you. And then, so the first thing is to discuss the customer need and the business need. We need to clarify the customer need and the business need. So when it's come to customer needs, sometimes this is getting provided by the stakeholder, our stakeholder representative, that is project manager. He might clarify the customer need. But when it's come to in other situations, sometimes customer representative itself might participate into this meeting to clarify the customer need. So in any such way, we need to clarify the customer need and the business need. And the next thing is to analyze the existing process. In this situation, we have this old e-commerce website that is belong to this supermarket chain company customer. So what we do is we analyze the existing e-commerce website. We try to place an order there and see how it goes, and we try to see that how the order processor sees this order details, and after processing the order, how delivery guy pick this order, and how the route is getting displayed for this delivery guy. Likewise, we go through a process and try to find out how it works. And also we need to make sure that we analyze the complaints that has been already received for this process as well, because there might be already received complaints for this process, and it is quite good information source for us for perform the user research. And once we have completed all these things, next thing we need to do is to decide on the research scope and the time frame. Why we need to do that is because let's say that uh, projects in different deadlines, but depend on the deadline, how much time that we can spend on the user research can be deferred. Therefore, we have to decide this time that we are going to spend on the user research in the beginning for an effective user research. So once we have go through all this information, next thing is to draft the research goals. So one of the main research goal that we could think of is to understand the pain points faced by users and the improvements that they need in future. And another research goal that we could think of is like that there is that when it's come to our customer need, they want to uh, standardize this design with existing competitors. Therefore, another research goal would be to analyze what are the who are the existing competitors, and what are the features our online buyers prefer in those. And let's say that when we are analyzing these complaints, we found out that there are a lot of issues about navigations within this system. So another research goal would be what are the issues users have with existing site structure. So likewise, we can draft all the research goals that we could think of. And once we have done that, next thing we could do is to prioritize the research goals. Why we need to prioritize the research goals? Why can't we perform all this? Because uh, given the time frame that we have drafted for the user research, we might not be able to complete all the research goals. Therefore, we have to figure out which ones are the most important. In this situation, we can think of, we can find out about the issues with the navigation structure lately, or we can go with, we can look at the existing complaints and find that information. So at the moment, we will only consider the first one and the second one as the research goals. So likewise, we can decide uh, what are the research goals that we are going to look for in this stage. And the next thing we need to do is, once we have selected the research goals, we have to brainstorm for the high level research questions. So let's say that we have picked up this research goal of understanding the pain points and the improvements needed. So some of the research questions, like when it's come to this research goal, we have to analyze 3 different users. So online buyers, order processors, and the delivery guys. So if we took online buyers, we can draft research questions such as how do they order goods? How do they explain the experience over this? what is the most irritating thing in this process for them. Like this, we can draft different research questions that we can think of to achieve our research goal. You could say that by getting answers for these questions, we can get an understanding about pain points and the improvements needed by online buyers. So like this, we can decide on our research goal and we can come up with set of research questions. So then the next phase is to select research method and participants. And when it's come to research methods, there are 6 different research methods that is kind of common in the user research phase. So first one is interview. In an interview, what we do is we perform a face-to-face discussion with our research participant, and we ask the research questions from them, and we record the answers that they are provided. And if we have any doubt on any answer, or if it is not clear, we ask follow-up questions to clarify that. Then when it's come to contextual inquiry, it is also kind of like an interview, but only the difference is we are performing that in users day-to-day environment. Let's say that we are performing a contextual inquiry for the order processes. Then what we do is we go into the warehouse where they are working, and we perform the interview there while they are at the task. So in that way, we can get a better understanding about their situation. And when it's come to field studies, what we do is we join to this user group and we work with them for 1 or 2 days to get a better understanding about their situation ourselves and to find out the answers for the research question. And in survey, what we do is we put together all these questions into a one document and we distribute it to the research participants uh, with the expectation of written answers from them. Earlier, it was done manually. Surveys are done most of the time manually, but now we have the possibility of doing surveys via online as well by using websites called SurveyMonkey. And card sorting. Card sorting mainly used to get an understanding about the site structure. Here what we do is we select the main content in the website and we put them, we write them in individual cards. Then we give these cards to this research participant and ask them to categorize those. Once they have categorized those, we ask them to write a name for each category. By doing this with several users, we can get an understanding of what kind of site structure that they prefer. And last one in here is usability studies. We use usability studies to analyze whatever existing product or system that they use in the given process. So here what we do is we ask them to perform several tasks in this product while we are observing them, and we ask them to talk out loud while they are at the task. So these are the 6 common user research methods that is being used in the user research phase. So how we can select the most suitable user research method to be used in our user research. So let's have a look at what are the information that we have in our hand. So we know that we need to analyze 3 different users, and we have 3 different research purposes that we need to look at. And when it's come to research method, we know that we have these 6 different research methods that we can use for. So let's say that we want to analyze, if we think about the first research purpose, understanding the pain points and the improvements needs, how we can analyze our online buyer. So we could perform an interview with them. And also we could perform a usability study with them to get a better understanding about how they can place an order in the existing system and what is the experience around it. And when it's come to order processor, we could do a contextual inquiry. We could go into the warehouse and we could perform an interview there while they are at the task, and we can get a better understanding about their situation. And when it's come to delivery person, we could do a field study. We could go with them to deliver the goods, and we could get an understanding about their situation. How do they deliver goods? So by this way, we can get an understanding about their pain points and the improvements that they need. So like this, deciding what is the research method that we are going to use, it can be done by looking at the research purpose and the type of it. So like this, we can decide research methods that we can use to achieve other two research purposes as well. So here I have only mentioned about 6 different research methods. But in actual scenario, there are a lot more research methods that you can use for user research. So having the understanding about most of the research methods provide us a better chance of selecting what is the most suitable research method to be used. So you could have a look at these as well. And then once we have selected the research method, next thing we need to do is to identify the research participant. So when it's come to identifying research participants, we can think of two different things. That is, what are the attributes that these research participants should have in common, and how many research participants we need to involve with. So let's say that we need to pick some online buyers for our interview. So what are the attributes they should have in common? If we look for age, we could ask from our customer what kind of when it's come to online buyers, who are the buyers that they are targeting and what is their age duration that they think of. So if they say 20 to 60, our sample should be from that age duration. And when it's come to technology literacy, let's say that we have this mobile app as well for this system. So anyone who is competent enough of using a smartphone can be a potential candidate. So like this, whoever online buyer we choose as our research participant should have these attributes in common. And when we are selecting how many research participants that we need to involve for the user research, when it's come to interview, we can go for we can start with 5 to 6 members. But when it's come to survey, we need to have at least 30 to 40 users initially. Why is that? Because in an interview, we are getting the chance to meet the user. So there is any doubt about their answer, we can clarify them with them. But when it's come to survey, we are totally depend on the written answers from them. So therefore, to minimize the error of research, we need to take a bigger sample from our users. So like this, you could see that when it's come to how many research participants, it is getting differed based on the user research method that we are going to be used. So let's say that we have selected the research methods and we have selected the research participants that we required. Then next thing is to conduct the research. When we are conducting research also, we have to think about 3 things. First thing is to be in user's situation and try to understand it from their eyes. Why I am saying this is, we should not conflict between our experience, because let's say in this situation, we might also have some experience about online purchasing. But we should not compare it with our users' experiences. what we need to do is we need to forget our experience and try to understand their situation through their eyes. And next thing we need to consider is that we should not be biased. Let's say that our design team has a certain solution in their head, and as user researcher we also know that, but we should not deviate our result into that direction. So that would be going to be user research going to be fail if we practice that. And another thing that we need to consider, we should not discuss the solution with them, because our users might not have the understanding about the technologies you are going to use or whatever the design you are going to use. So we should not discuss the solution with them. Rather, we need to try to find out their situation clearly and what are the problems they face likewise. So let's say that by following these things as well, we have now successfully conducted the research. Next thing is to analyze for the research output. Here what we do is we gather all the input that we have received out of the user research, and we try to see trends, patterns, and commonalities out of it. And once we have done that, what we try to do is put together all these things into a research output. Then we can later present that into our design. So output for our let's say that during this user research we wanted to find out the more about the attributes of the online buyers. So in that case we could go for a research output like persona. We could analyze the input we received from the output we received from the user research, and we could draft a fictional user, and we could put together the goals, purchasing behaviors, and their attributes into it to make it real. Here it is a persona for a married woman with two children, and it in this persona it displays the purchasing behavior and goals of that kind of user. But if we see that the purchasing behavior is different for a lady who is unmarried, then we can think of creating another persona for that kind of user. Like that, based on the research output that we received out of the user research, we can decide how much personas that we are going to draft. And let's say that we are more focused on finding out about users process. In that kind of situation, we can draft a research output as user journey map. So here it clearly explains the process of the user, and it also drafts the problems that they face in each of the phases and their emotional experience over it as well. So here we can clearly see that when it's come to search in the product, this user normally plays the same order with the same products weekly. But still every time when she do it, she required to search the products from the very beginning and add them to cart. So it would be kind of hectic if they have to do it repetitively. So here in the same research output, we have the chance of adding the ideas and the opportunities as well. So here one of the opportunity that we can use in the design stage to provide the better user experience is to provide the possibility of replacing the previous order, or to find previously selected product easily as well. So like this, to explain about the if we are focusing more about the process, we can go for a research output such as user journey map. And another output that we can think of is storyboard. It is also a research output we can use if we have more focus about the process. So here the difference between user journey map and storyboard is Now, in storyboard, the process is getting explained as a story. So, from the childhood, we have a kind of effect for the stories. So it kind of bring more empathetic effect into the design team by presenting the research output as a storyboard. So here we could see that this lady, she's a working mom and she has two children as well. But after placing the order, since she do not get indication about the processing time, she has to frequently check the mobile app to look at whether it has been picked up by a delivery guy or not. So it would be kind of trouble for this user. So it clearly distinguish in this storyboard. And another research output would be use cases. Here previously user journey map and storyboard is kind of focus for individual users. But here we can see the overall process and how users interact with it and the integrations between that. So here we could clearly see once the customer made the payment, she only get an update after order processor process the order. So until that there is a gap. So it is clearly visualized in the use case. And there is another research output that we can think of, that is competitor analysis report. Previously, when it's come to research purpose, one of our research purpose is to analyze the existing competitors and find out the features our online buyers preferred from them. So we could put together that information into this kind of format and we can present that to our design team and the stakeholders. When it's come to competitor analysis, even though it's about competitors, it provides us the information about what our users prefer to be used as well. And another research output that we can think of is the usability report. Like previously, when we are analyzing the pain points and the improvement, we decided to do a usability study for the online buyers. So once we have completed that, we can put together all that summary into a usability report and we can present that to our design team and the stakeholders. So here it clearly visualize about our sample that we use and what they preferred and what they not preferred as well. So no matter what research output that is being uh, resulted from the user research, every research output gives our design team a chance of understanding users' needs, goals, behaviors, motivations, and pain points. And from all together, it gives us a chance to understand our users' mental model. Once we have understand our users' mental model, it provides us the chance to design a product which is more usable, which is more aligned with users' mental model, and which provide higher user experience and also which has a higher rate of being successful as well. So you might think that user research is something that we need to do in the understanding requirement phase in the design process. No, user research is something that we need to do throughout the design process. In understanding requirement process, we use user research to understand about our users' mental model. When we designing, we might be able to find out there are two such designs that is equally successful that we can think of, but we can decide one out of it. Again, we can use a user research such as A/B testing to find out what is better out of it. And when it's come to implementation, we can think of like there are some information that we need to clarify about the site structure. Again, we can use user research such as card sorting to find out that information. And when it's come to testing, again, we can perform a usability testing to find out whether our products tally with the user mental model. So like this, using user research throughout the design process it provides us better chance to align our product with users' mental model, and also it provides a better chance of generating higher user experience while providing the product successful as well. So now you could see uncovering users' mental model is something required by every designer, which need to be in their toolbox. Even though I can talk a lot more about this topic, we don't have that much of time. So I would provide you 3 tips to continue your journey by yourself and master this skill of uncovering users' mental model. So the first tip is to try to learn the basics. You could start by looking at these 3 books. And out of it, 100 things every designer needs to know about the people is one of my favorites. And when it's come to courses, yes, there are good courses around this topic. And one of the best is the one from Interaction Design Foundation. And in Udemy and Coursera as well, there are good courses around this topic. And the second tip, if you're considering doing user research, if you're considering to become a user researcher, there are 4 skills that you need to think of, put your focus on. First thing is to practice empathy. Be in users' shoes and try to understand the situation from their eyes. Second thing, communicate effectively. Why? Because from the very beginning to the very end, in user research, we have to deal with people. So having the ability of communicating effectively is something going to be plus point for an effective user research. Third thing, start noticing. Again, users do not tell everything in words. Some of the better findings could be found by observing them. So ability to start noticing is something really valuable for an effective user research. And last thing is how you present your research output to the stakeholder and the design team. Even though you are given the possibility to deal with your users, meet your users, everyone in the design team and the stakeholders do not get that chance. Therefore, we need to make sure that we communicate the information that found in an effective manner for our design team and the stakeholders. One of the best way that you could use to achieve this is to present the information as a story. And third tip that I could provide is stay connected, because all around the world there are a lot of good user researchers who have a lot of experience in this subject, and they are willing to share us that information as well. So for this purpose, you could join these 2 groups in LinkedIn, because these experienced user researchers share a lot of good information around it. And in Facebook also, I found out there is this group called UX Researchers Association. They are also a lot of experienced user researchers publish their experience in articles. So last thing, I also would like to help anyone who has the interest of user experience and who wants to find more about this uncovering user mental model as well. You can easily contact me through LinkedIn, and also you can simply drop me a message to journeytoux@gmail.com as well. So I'm willing to help any one of you who have questions around these topics, and you can easily reach to me. So slowly we came to the end of today's session as well. And I would like to finish my session with this great quote by Steve Jobs, who is one of my favorite UX gurus, and something we believe in IFS as well. The broader one's understanding of the human experience, the better design we will have. So to achieve that better design, to understand the human experience, we need to understand about uncovering users' mental model. And that's what we have discussed today. Thank you. Hello, are you all still with me? Hello.
Yes, miss.
Okay. Hello, Titula. Can you hear me? So any one of you have any questions?
Hi.
Miss, can you send the
Hi, Titula.
suggested
Yes, Jan. Can you repeat the question?
Miss, can you send the suggested books name?
Sorry, can you?
Can you send suggested books name?
Yes, I could. Can you drop me your email, Jan, so I could send those? Also, this recording will be shared as well, right, Ditula?
Yeah, we will
Okay.
be uploading this to YouTube so they can watch it. We will be uploading this to the Future Careers Bridge YouTube channel. So you all can watch it maybe early next week.
Any other questions? Seems like no. Ditula, do you have anything?
Uh, no, if we don't have any questions, we can conclude the webinar. Thank you very much, Rangika, for spending your time with us and
No problem.
disseminating this knowledge to all these students who are enthusiastic about learning further on user experience. And thank you everyone for joining the webinar and your enthusiastic participation. Keep in touch with Future Careers Bridge for more learning opportunities like this. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening.